All right, picture this. You sit down at your desk, the clock starts ticking, and bam, 4 hours later, you lean back, take a deep breath, and your absolute most important task? Totally done. No checking your phone every 5 minutes. No wandering down random YouTube rabbit holes. Definitely no doom scrolling. And the best part? Zero lingering guilt at the end of the day. That's the ultimate goal we're setting up in this explainer.
So, does that sound like total fantasy to you? Look, if you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely not alone. But here's the absolute truth. You don't lack intelligence, and you don't lack willpower. You're just missing uninterrupted focus. Every single ping, every buzz, every little notification has literally trained your brain to avoid deep work. Today, we're going to completely untrain that habit.
Okay, let's dive right in by busting the biggest myth out there. You hear people say it all the time, right? Oh, I just have a really short attention span. No, you don't. The reality is, you're just trapped in a heavily distracted environment. You do not have a broken brain. You just have a workspace that is expertly designed to steal your attention and feed you a constant stream of new stimulation.
To understand why this environment is so incredibly damaging, we need to talk about a concept called the switching cost. Every single time you glance at your phone, even if it's just for, a harmless 5-second peek at a text, your brain pays a massive toll. Research actually shows it takes several minutes to fully regain your previous level of concentration after just one interruption. Now, multiply those lost minutes by the dozens of distractions you deal with every single day. The amount of lost time is just staggering.
And because you're paying that switching cost over and over again, you aren't actually doing deep, meaningful work anymore. You end up spending your entire day trapped in what we call shallow work, just bouncing frantically from emails to texts to minor little tasks. If we actually want to unlock 4 hours of true high-impact focus, we absolutely have to stop training our brains to crave that shallow stimulation and finally cross over into the realm of deep work.
All right, Section 1, the 30-minute preparation. Let's look at exactly what you need to do before you even sit down. Because true focus doesn't magically begin when you start typing. It starts well before you even pull your chair up to the desk. Here is the strict prep routine you need. First, and honestly this is completely non-negotiable, your phone goes in another room. Not face down on the desk, not on silent in your pocket, I mean a totally different room, out of sight, out of mind. Second, close every single unnecessary tab on your browser. Third, clear your physical desk to get rid of visual clutter. And fourth, write down exactly one task to focus on.
Actually, let's zoom in on that last step for a second. When I say write down one task, it needs to be highly specific. Don't write work on project. It should be something like write 2,000 words, or finish chapter 3, or complete the budget spreadsheet. See, when your brain knows exactly what the finish line looks like, it stops wasting its precious energy trying to decide what to do next. You're literally eliminating decision fatigue before you even start.
Moving on to Section 2, executing focus blocks. This is how we're going to divide up this session.
Look, trying to force yourself to just stare at a screen for 4 straight hours is a one-way ticket to burnout. It's not going to happen. Instead, we're going to divide those 4 hours into 4 very manageable 60-minute blocks. Each block is made up of 50 minutes of pure, uninterrupted work, followed immediately by 10 minutes of intentional rest. You just repeat this cycle 4 times. And during those 50 minutes, no email, no messaging, absolutely no multitasking. Just that one specific task you wrote down earlier.
But what about those 10 minutes of rest? Honestly, they're just as important as the work itself. Here are your break rules. You need to physically stand up, stretch your body, grab a glass of water, or maybe just walk around the room. What you absolutely cannot do, under any circumstances, is pull out your phone and start scrolling TikTok or Instagram. Your break has to refresh and reset your brain, not overload it with another massive hit of digital junk food.
Which brings us to Section 3, beating hidden distractions, and how to manage those pesky internal thoughts. So, we've handled the digital interruptions, right? But what about the sneaky internal thoughts that constantly try to sabotage us? You know exactly how this feels. You're, say, 20 minutes into a deep focus block, totally in the zone, and out of nowhere your brain screams, "Oh no, I forgot to buy groceries," or "I need to reorganize my entire sock drawer right this second." These intrusive thoughts are totally normal, but if you stop what you're doing to act on them, well, you've just paid that massive switching cost we talked about earlier.
The solution here is remarkably simple, but I promise you it's a total game changer. It's called the notebook method. Basically, just keep a small physical notebook right beside you. Whenever a random to-do or random thought pops into your head, you just quickly jot it down on the paper and then immediately return to your work. This brilliant little habit essentially tells your brain, hey, I won't forget this, but we don't need to deal with it right this second. It instantly releases that anxiety of forgetting and lets you stay completely locked into your deep work.
All right, Section 4, the 5-minute rule. This is all about simply getting started.
Let's be real, even with the absolute perfect environment, sometimes the hardest part of any task is just starting it. The sheer friction of staring at a blank canvas can feel incredibly paralyzing. So the crucial point is, we overcome that initial friction with the 5-minute rule. When you feel that resistance, you simply tell yourself, okay, I am only going to work on this for 5 minutes. That's it. Zero pressure, no massive, scary commitment. And what happens next is basically magic. Once you begin, momentum naturally takes over. See, your brain actually resists the uncertainty of starting, not the work itself. Once you're engaged for just 5 minutes, staying focused becomes practically effortless.
Next up is Section 5, building the focus muscle. We need to start treating focus like it's a literal muscle.
Now, I want to manage expectations for a second. Focus is not a light switch you just flip on. It really is a muscle. Think about it. You wouldn't walk into a gym on day one and try to bench press 300 pounds, right? So please don't expect to magically hit 4 hours of deep work today. Start small. Let's see how this builds. Begin by stringing together just 1 hour of focus. Once you master that, you push it to 90 minutes. Then you stretch it to 2 hours. You incrementally build your stamina through consistent practice over time. The more consistently you practice this deliberate deep work, the stronger that attention span becomes.
Almost at the finish line here. Section 6, protect your energy, and why you must prioritize your health.
Listen, you can have the absolute best techniques in the world, but none of it matters if your battery is sitting at 1%. Focus relies heavily on discipline, for sure, but it equally relies on your raw biological energy. These are your non-negotiable physical pillars, okay? 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep, regular hydration throughout the day, eating nutritious meals that aren't going to cause a massive blood sugar crash, and getting some form of light exercise. A physically healthy brain is a focused brain. You are the hardware that runs the software of your productivity. You have got to take care of the machine.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, let it be this huge paradigm shift. Focus is not some innate talent that you're just born with. It is a skill. And just like learning to play the piano or hitting a decent tennis serve, it is a skill that improves dramatically with deliberate, structured practice. You literally have the power to completely rewire how you work.
So I want to leave you with a pretty powerful question to chew on today. If you take this toolkit, if you actually put your phone in another room, use those 50-10 focus blocks, and truly master your attention, what will you be able to accomplish in 4 hours? For most people, mastering this means achieving way more in just a single morning than others get done in an entire week. Start small today, fiercely protect your energy, and just watch your productivity completely transform. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.